Is AI coming for your job? A string of headlines this month suggests the answer is not only yes, but soon. The New York Times reported that Amazon is on the cusp of replacing more than 500,000 warehouse jobs with robots and plans to automate 75% of its operations. The same outlet followed up days later with news that Amazon will cut 14,000 corporate jobs as it plows more than $120 billion into data centers and AI development. Then there's the Wall Street Journal reporting that UPS had cut 48,000 positions in management and operations, and that tens of thousands of white-collar jobs are disappearing as companies turn to artificial intelligence to do work once done by humans. Meanwhile, Axios warning that one of the most important real-world debates in America right now is whether AI will cause a short-term job apocalypse among white-collar workers, even as the stock market hits record highs. In other words, as the markets boom, the human workforce is quietly being rewritten. Some AI pioneers are saying the quiet part out loud, that by the end of the decade, 99% of jobs could be automated away. And if you think that kind of automation sounds sci-fi nightmarish, Democrats are already trying to turn it into a campaign slogan. Axios reports that the left's new energy isn't just about tax the rich, it's about taming the robots. From Bernie Sanders to AOC to Zohran Mamdani in New York City, socialists using AI as a call to arms, warning that tech greed is about to crush the American worker. The co-author of that piece, Jim VandeHei, CEO and co-founder of Axios, joins me now. So, Jim, you say there are two trends ripe for Democrats, the evolving popularity of socialists and also the concerns over artificial intelligence. I want to break the two of them down and put up a graph on the screen that shows the relative popularity among Ds, Rs, and Is of socialism. When asked whether, as a gut check, you approve of socialism, 66% of Ds say they do, 38% of Rs, of independents say they do, and only 14% of independents. Is that a prescription that can be sold by Democrats all across the country or only in New York City?
I mean, you look at that poll and it says that's where the energy inside the Democratic Party is. I agree with you. I don't think, based on what I've seen in American politics and what I've seen of the performance of kind of socialistic countries in Europe, I don't think it's necessarily a winning formula. But among Democrats, especially among young, energetic Democrats, they're much more enamored with socialism than capitalism. And you have to look at where the energy is. You have to look at where the people that are turning out are going. It's those events for Bernie Sanders, for AOC, for Mamdani. Like, they're turning out crowds that more conventional candidates can't. That doesn't mean that you end up with one of them as your nominee, but almost every Democrat I talk to worries profoundly that that will be the outcome. Then you take the fact that that's where the energy is, and you marry it with the unfolding data that we're seeing because of artificial intelligence, where people's energy prices in some cities are starting to go up, when you're seeing it getting harder and harder for people to get a job, especially those young people who are quite enamored with socialism, and you see inequality growing. Those two trends, if you marry them together, make a very powerful political campaign, especially if you think about the people outside of big cities, the working class, the base that, by the way, brought Donald J. Trump into power. Those are the people that are going to get hit the hardest. Those are the people that are ultimately persuadable, as we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. And that's why those two trends are quite important.
I'm going to put on the screen the 3 points that you make relative to AI, because I want to amplify this part of the conversation. You say energy prices in many areas are expected to rise as consumers compete with big data centers for finite energy capacity. Job growth is expected to slow, especially for recent college-age grads, mostly because of AI. And AI companies and investors are expected to keep getting richer, expanding the inequality gap. Have Republicans surrendered this turf? To me, it's such an evolving area that it's not so clear that there's a Republican versus Democratic perspective on artificial intelligence. Am I missing something?
There is undoubtedly a position, at least among the Trump administration and congressional Republicans, that they are all in on AI. They're doing nothing to regulate these companies, nothing to regulate the technologies. They want to win the AI war against China. And so they're going to allow the AI companies to do whatever they want, whenever they want, so that they can win that race. And there's certainly an intellectual argument to be made for that. The reason I appreciate your show, Michael, and I appreciate your focusing on this, is that I just think a lot of the American people are not paying attention to what's happening at a very high velocity with artificial intelligence and how it's going to affect their life. Yes, long term, it could be wonderful. It could cure cancer. It could create jobs we can't think of today. But in the short term, there is a lot of evidence that it's going to affect your job. So if you don't change the way you do your job, if you don't change maybe the classes you're taking in school, you might not have a job. And that's what a lot of these AI companies know. That's what they tell us. It's why we write about it all the time. I talk to CEOs every week, a lot of them. I've yet to find a single CEO who's not told me that they're going to hire way fewer people in the future than they are today, and that they're going to operate with fewer humans in the future than they operate with today. That is a red screaming light, and that is something that Congress, CEOs, all of us should be paying attention to. We get sucked into these stupid debates about silly things that you forget before sundown, when in fact you have a massive technological revolution unfolding in real time that is going to have an appreciable effect on your life. So I think all of us in the media, in positions of power, in politics, have an obligation to the American people to prepare them for this, to explain what's happening.
Quick final thought. The academic who got a lot of attention this week because he said that 99% unemployment comes in 5 years. He backed off on that slightly in terms of the timetable. Yeah. On my radio show this week, I had a poll question on my website where I asked people, do you think AI is coming for your job? All caps. 70% said, no, not my job. I read that result to the academic, and he said, I find that hilarious, meaning hilarious that people are so out of touch for how it comes for all of us. Final 30-second response from Jim VandeHei.
You are making a criminally bad decision for your life and for your work if you are not studying how AI is going to affect your job and right now spending 10 to 15% of your day figuring out how do you use this new technology as a force multiplier for whatever it is that you want to do in the workforce. You close your eyes, you will not have a job. There's no doubt you have all these companies spending way too much money to make this technology way too good. It doesn't have to be that scary, but you don't have the choice of closing your eyes. Every employer should be telling every employee, do everything you can to figure out how to use this technology, just like you use the internet, just like you use the printing press, to be better at the job you do. Those that do, I think, will be fine. Those that don't, you're screwed.
Thank you, Jim VandeHei. Social media reaction from some of you watching the program right now. Follow me on X and YouTube. Of course, AI is worth the job displacement. Of course it is. Did anyone ask if the tractor was worth displacing, the mule rancher, the car worth displacing, the buggy maker, the telegraph replace? I get the point, okay? But if it comes for 99% of us, then it's not going to justify the outcome. Look, I had to answer the question that I just referenced with Jim, which is, could AI do what I am doing? And the answer is mostly yes. AI can certainly write a commentary like I delivered at the outset of the program. My voice can be replicated on AI through the new, what is it, Soro application. I even saw my likeness, and it looked pretty damn near me. The only thing that AI can't do, as I think about it, is AI cannot eat a Twix during a commercial break like I did earlier in the program, which caused me to lose my voice in the A block. So I've got that going for me, which is nice. You still have time to vote on today's poll question at Smerconish.com, which asks, is the innovation and potential growth from AI development worth the risk of job displacement? Go vote right now. Subscribe to the newsletter while you're there. You'll get the exclusive work of editorial cartoonists like Jack Oman